This video is sponsored by Z-Biotics. In the WWE and wrestling more broadly, there are a myriad of traditions and unwritten rules most fans just don't know about. And I know about them firsthand from my time as a WWE wrestler. Now, I would share this with you, but the YouTube channel Tap Out Corner already made a video about this. So we're gonna watch it together, and I'm gonna tell you where I agree and maybe where I could add some additional context. So let's watch.
Wrestling is so much more than just a job. For wrestlers who made it to WWE, it's a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle. That's 100% accurate. Wrestling was my identity. It was who I was. I was no longer Maven Huffman, the former teacher, the former baseball player. Everything that I had done for the previous 24 years of my life at that moment was almost null and void. Had no consequence. From that moment moving forward, I became Maven the wrestler.
One tradition you may notice when watching WWE is wrestlers wiping their feet on the edge of the ring. There are a few reasons why they do this. One is simply to help keep the ring clean. Garbage and other waste can attach themselves to a wrestler's boots, so to prevent it from being brought into the ring, wrestlers wipe off.
For most wrestling promotions, and the WWE not as much, but for most wrestling promotions, most indie promotions, they don't have a bunch of extra canvases just lying around that they can use. Most of them have the one canvas that they're using, and they're putting up and they're tearing down at the end of every show. And then it's going to be used at the next show, and it's going to go to the next town. And that same canvas over time, it gets filthy, it gets nasty, it gets so much bacteria in it. I remember during my training at HWA, the developmental center in Cincinnati where I trained Heartland Wrestling, we had a guy who actually got a face infection from having his face down on the mat. And man, there's nothing you want less on this earth than having your face infected, from a wrestling mat.
Additionally, it's a sign of respect. Respect for the ring, where many wrestlers have given their blood, sweat, tears, and lives, and where many more will in the future.
A lot of people are trained by old school guys who just talk, man, that's what you do. Respect for your opponent, respect for your craft, respect for your ring that you're about to get in. Wipe your feet off. That's why in the clip you saw William Regal and Mark Henry do it. They were trained by someone who taught them the importance of that. At Tough Enough, we had Al teach us, we had Taz tell us about wiping our boots off, and if we didn't do it, they would yell at us, they would tell us and make sure we did. It wasn't something that transferred to me once I got out and started wrestling. And that was probably because, man, I had enough to worry about. I had the match to worry about. One less thing to just check off my bucket list of things to not think about before I went out there. But when I watch guys do it, I definitely take note. So Mr. Corner was right about this one. It's funny how the word lifestyle is still ringing in my head, because wrestling does become a lifestyle, and there is a culture. The one thing that all wrestlers did the moment a show was over was look for something to eat. Once you leave an arena, you're hungry. Sometimes a bite to eat might evolve into a night out on the town. And sometimes a night out on the town might evolve into a morning where you don't feel your best. How I would have loved to have had a fix for that. Well, fortunately, today's video sponsor, Z-Biotics, can help with that. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break down this byproduct. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/maven or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use Maven at checkout. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/maven and make sure you use code MAVEN at checkout for 15% off your order. And a big thank you to ZBiotics for not only sponsoring this video, but our good times as well.
This next tradition is hidden from fans, and you might not even know it exists.
It's funny, the signs they use for male talent right there, that's the exact same signs they had back in my day.
When a new WWE wrestler joins the main roster, it's tradition for them to stay until after the show and clean up the locker room. Additionally, newer talent usually helps out the veteran talent by making sure the veterans have water available, towels, and other things.
During my time, we all operated under the your mom doesn't work here philosophy. And what do I mean by that? Your mom's not here to clean up after you. You know, clean up your own shit. But it wasn't your responsibility to stay just to clean up the locker room. All I'm saying is, going into my career in the WWE, there was nobody that had more riding on their backstage antics than I did. And knowing that Al Snow was never going to lead me astray, knowing that Taz was never going to tell me something that wasn't for my best benefit, it just wasn't that way. I never had to clean up after anyone other than myself. I'm not saying Mr. Corner's wrong on this. I'm just saying maybe things have been tweaked. Maybe things are a bit different these days than they were 20 some years ago. Maybe I should get Mr. Corner on this channel so I can teach him a thing or two.
While this practice isn't done as much today, wrestlers like Aleister Black and Rusev both said they'd make sure to clean the locker room when they started wrestling on the main roster.
That could be guys wanting to make a good showing, wanting to show the veterans, guys that they respect, hey, this is how much I respect you. This is how much I value not only being in this locker room, but being in this company, having this opportunity. Because I've said it before, being a professional wrestler, working for the WWE, it's not a right. It's not something that's guaranteed. Hell, it's not something you earn because you deserve it.
However, no matter how little room there is, everyone is expected to make space for veteran wrestlers and top talent like the world champions. Even if you've been in WWE for a while, if you're not a legend or a main event star, you're expected to give up space.
If I was in the locker room, let's say I was sitting down and just putting my boots on, and a legend would come in and I would try to move, they immediately stop you. Nah, man, you're good. Stay right there. And they'll find somewhere else. It's all an ego thing if someone thinks that they should have the best place in a locker room, because in the end of the day, a locker room's a locker room. I still remember when Scott Steiner and Bill Goldberg came in, man, these were guys that, hell, at the time I had watched for years, and even though I'd been in the WWE for a while and they were just coming in, hell, I'd have moved for them, but they didn't expect it. They weren't looking for that. So again, I don't know where Mr. Corner gets his information. I'm gonna have to smarten him up a little bit though.
The Miz infamously got kicked out of the locker room when he was a newcomer to WWE. He was eating some chicken and accidentally spilled some of it onto Chris Benoit's bags. Benoit had the Miz banned from the locker room, and the A-lister had to use the public bathrooms where the fans were. It
could have very well been one of two things. It could have just been paying his dues, and they make people pay dues in sometimes more difficult ways. Or if someone was, if he did make a mess, maybe it was just educating him. Maybe it was just teaching him to not be, or just be a little bit more courteous. I mean, maybe I just wouldn't have ate chicken in the locker room. I don't know. Hell, it's why there's catering. I remember when we would get done and I was hungry, and I talked about making the rice cakes with peanut butter, I would always just make sure that if I was going to eat something that was messy, I was going to do it in an area or somewhere where I could either control the mess or easily clean up the mess, and the mess was not interfering with anyone else's actions. I can't help but think that there was something else underlying this chicken incident, and the chicken was just an excuse, the catalyst for maybe teaching a broader lesson. That's how I have to view it.
Finally, after The Miz had a match against The Undertaker, the dead man allowed Miz back into the locker room.
If Undertaker says something, that no one questions it. That's the end all be all. That's as high up the food chain as you need to go.
Another tradition is that no one leaves until the show is over, even if you already had your match.
Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Great men and women come, so even greater can one day be." And the only way to get better is watching people who are currently better than you. And Cena was right. If that's why he stayed, to gauge how the crowd's reacting, how the crowd's responding, man, that's cerebral of him. That's smart. He's thinking, I want to be over. The people that can make me over are the fans. Let me see what they're reacting to. Man, that's knowing your demographic. That's sales 101. Good on him.
Another tradition you'll see on TV from time to time is the receipt. A receipt means getting back at someone. During a match, a wrestler might get careless and accidentally punch or hit their opponent for real. If that happens, the wrestler that got hurt might issue a receipt.
Now, I did an entire video on receipts, and he's 100% accurate. Receipts are going to come, and that's only because in a business where athleticism and accidents happen, there has to be repercussions for this. And I know a lot of people in the comments did not like it. They think it's barbaric. They think it's brutal. Man, that's just this business. And this business is not always the prettiest thing. It's not always the most digestible form of entertainment. But it's what we all signed up for.
Chris Jericho once got punched by Shane McMahon during a match, so Jericho gave Shane a receipt by kicking him in the face.
Shane O'Mac was notorious. Man, he was notorious for those punches he threw. They landed.
At One Night Stand in 2005, JBL infamously started attacking Blue Meanie for real and actually made him bleed. About a month later, the Blue Meanie and JBL were having a match. Stevie Richards interfered and gave JBL an extra hard chair shot to the head as a receipt.
A lot's been blown up about that whole night, and again, I don't know what the issue was between Meanie and Bradshaw. What I do know and what I do remember is that chair shot, JBL had no problem with it, at least from what I saw. If he had an issue with it between Stevie, then I never saw evidence of that.
WWE wrestlers aren't supposed to talk about their matches. Regardless if a wrestler had a good match or a bad one, they aren't supposed to ask anyone how it went.
That is 150 bazillion % inaccurate, and I'm gonna have to let Mr. Corner know he missed this one in every aspect. The moment you get out of a match, your entire goal is to do something better the next go round. Yeah, you can critique if something's the shits, you know it, you feel it. But the only way to get better is by having others tell you where and help show you where maybe you could do this a bit different. Or yeah, you remember that move you did after the second clothesline? Yeah, knock that shit out. Don't do that ever again. It was horrible. I mean, you're not gonna go up and bug the hell out of somebody. Hey, did you watch my match? How was it? Nah, no one's gonna do that. But everybody's gonna walk down through and give somebody that was at the monitor the nod, like, yeah. And then most people just, yeah. And here's exactly how it happens. If I would if you see somebody walk down, they'll give somebody the nod, and then somebody will be like, hey, good shit, good match, good job. Or if it wasn't good, they might give them the nod, and they'll be like, 1 minute, man, I got something I need to talk to you about. I just got to formulate in my brain how I'm going to tell you you suck.
If a wrestler had a really good match, he or she should not brag about it.
In the same vein, if you have a 5-star match, you don't need to say it. Everybody knows. Trust me, everybody knows. There wasn't one person ever walking through the locker room being like, yo, did you see that epic 5-star match, I just put, nah, no one ever. It's just known. And it's felt when people, just walk by, yo, good shit, man, great. I think that was the terminology I heard more in a WWE locker room. And that's what you wanted to hear, good shit. If you heard those 2 words following a match, you did it. That's all the validation you need. Good shit.
When a wrestler wins a championship, it's an unwritten rule that you show it off only when necessary. This is to help prevent egos from getting out of check and to help keep good locker room morale.
When I won the hardcore title off The Undertaker, I didn't beat Mark Calloway. I didn't beat The Undertaker for real to become the champion. I didn't deserve that championship. Man, there was a writing team. There was people that went to Taker. There were people that had to say, yeah, give the kid the rub, give him the opportunity. So I didn't have to be told, yeah, keep your ego in check. Nah, it was just known.
Wrestlers are all supposed to speak English, and it's not for the reason you might expect. Sure, WWE shows are all done in English, and that is part of it. However, the real reason wrestlers are all supposed to talk in English is so they can communicate during matches.
For that, I have one word, Tajiri. I think Tajiri spoke English. I can't say with 100% certainty if he spoke and understood English, but no, just guys come from all over. Girls come from all over the world. Does it help to speak English? Well, hell yeah, of course it does. Like anything else, if you can communicate, it's going to make everything easier. But if English is not someone's native tongue, you find ways around it.
This is perhaps the reason why the original Sin Cara would often botch moves during his matches, since he did not speak English.
I'm going to agree partially with that statement. Yeah, he botched moves sometimes just because he's doing hard moves. There's other ways to communicate, man. There's other ways to know, and obviously knowing your competitors, knowing their moveset. Know going into a match what it is they do. Know what they like to get in. Know what moves they do after certain scenarios.
One way they do this is by pranking each other, or ribbing, as it's called. When X-Pac was new in WWE, a bunch of wrestlers got him drunk on his 21st birthday and shaved off his eyebrows while he was passed out. Unfortunately for X-Pac, WWE was taking promo pics the very next day, so he ended up having no eyebrows when they took them.
Ribbing's fun, and ribbing sometimes can get out of hand, but when I was there, and I was involved in several ribs, they were always just fun, and immediately went to how can I get this person back and do it in a better way. Some of you guys would probably love it if somebody shaved my eyebrows off. Not gonna happen though. So my overall grade for Mr. Corner's video, well, some of the things you just have to experience to see how things are really ran, like the band backstage and having to clean up. During my time, no one told me to clean up. No one told me I didn't have to clean up. I don't know, maybe nowadays Roman is the one who can tell someone when they've transitioned. So again, could be a generational thing, or it could just be you have to experience something. So for this video, I give Mr. Corner a solid B-. Actually, it appears I give Mr. Corner an A+. Now, we have only scratched the surface when talking about unwritten rules in the WWE. To hear more, click the link on screen.